Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order. Today is Thursday, July 13th, 2023, and it is 6:30 p.m. Hello, look at this beautiful room. Thank you all for being here. I am going to ask our lawyer counsel, Dean Pucci, to read the Nisenan tribal recognition, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land, that it was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you, Dean. And I am going to ask Gary, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all part.
That's a big deal. It's a big deal. If it was true.
Okay, we are going to do a roll call, and before that, I would like to note that Councilmember CC will not be with us this evening. Tonight is the opening of Guys and Dolls down at the Nevada Theater, and so we wish him a broken leg. He will be back with us soon, and please go see Guys and Dolls. Madam Deputy City Clerk, will you give us a roll call, please?
I will. Councilmember Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here. Oh, it's
We'll have to get used to that, huh? Vice Mayor Peterson
here.
and Mayor Fernandez.
I am here.
You'll have to get used to that too, Gary. Yeah.
Okay, so next is the adoption of the agenda. Council, now is the time for any of us to name any agenda modifications. Would anybody like to make changes to the agenda, pull consent items, or do we have recusals to announce?
Not here.
All right, I'm looking for a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
I move we adopt the agenda.
I second that.
Great, I have a motion by Councilmember Klein and a second by Councilmember Fleming. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No one. Motion carries. Hello, folks. Come in. Welcome. Look, we're just pouring out the doors. Hello, hello. It's good to see your beautiful faces. Okay, we have some presentations. First, we have a presentation of the reorganization of City Council. Mayor and Vice Mayor, take it away, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For those in the audience or those at home, they probably noticed that we switched seats since our last meeting in June. Last meeting, we had a great opportunity to recognize Mayor Fleming for his time as mayor. Got him what I think is a cool gift, but maybe not. He can decide as we look to next year. But tonight is the first meeting of the council with Mayor Daniela Fernandez and Vice Mayor Gary Peterson. And that's all I have to say about that. So I will
Awesome.
give it back to you.
You guys, if anyone pays attention, you know I never pass up the opportunity to give a speech. So I'm going to take a few moments to do just that. Welcome, friends and neighbors. It is delightful to see so many people in this room, isn't it, folks?
It is. It is.
Yes, in fact, this current council has never seen so many people in this room. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here to help usher me in as mayor. And maybe some of you aren't here for that. You're here to talk about agenda items. I welcome you too. I invited so many of you here today because I think this is worth celebrating. And my parents, Susan and Juan, came all the way from Florida because they think, because they think this is worth celebrating. And I imagine so many of you came today because you also think this is worth celebrating, yes? Yes. Awesome. I want you to know that I do not take this responsibility lightly. Serving on council has not been a hobby for me. It's been an investment. It's been an investment in the future to build more equitable, sustainable, and community-based policy, the whole community. So that Nevada City is a place that many of your children and your grandchildren want to come back to. that there is something here for them to come back to. Am I right? Yes. We've got an exciting year ahead of us. Tonight, I'm hoping that we roll out the first ever public art ordinance in Nevada City. And yes.
They're the artists.
And eventually, I hope we develop a public arts commission. We're going to continue to strengthen our partnership with the county. There are county members here today. Thank you so much for coming and supporting. We appreciate your partnership and look forward to more. We look forward to exploring options for a city compost program. And also, I'm excited to work with our 2 local high schools to develop local youth leadership programs so that young people know how to partake in local civics because their voices and needs are sorely missing in this space.
Here, here.
And of course, we will continue to explore and take action on what it means to be climate resilient, strengthening our preparation and response to the very real threat of fire, the inevitability of more snowmageddons and flooding, and working to improve our water security. And I want to invite you to continue to be a part of it all. You know, oftentimes, twice a month we sit here and we make decisions that affect everybody who lives in Nevada City, and oftentimes there's nobody in here to speak on an issue. It makes a difference when you're here and we're able to hear your voices, because I believe that the more voices we have at the table, the better we're able to be an inclusive governing body representing the many rather than the few. So real quick, a big shout out to the new chair of the Planning Commission, Amy Cobden.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Amy Cobden. I know you weren't expecting that shout out. But I want you to know that I am grateful that we are serving alongside each other. So thank you, friend. Yay. And a quick shout out to my family watching at home, my grandmother, my Uncle Keith, Aunt Rhonda, Aunt Donna, my sister Sarah and her family, and my beloved Janine in New Mexico. And with that, let's get on with the meeting, shall we? Yeah. I'm going to invite you all to stay. And then if you'd like to join us for a toast afterwards, I would love for you to do that as well. All right. Next, we have a proclamation. Ribbon cutting and grand opening of Rainbow Rocket. Yeah. I am going to ask the owner, Amanda Chavez, to come join me at the podium. Coming right behind you, Gary. I'm a little slower these days. I just got a new knee.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much.
So I'm going to read this for you. Okay, this is honoring the grand opening ribbon cutting of Rainbow Rocket Marketplace. Whereas business initiation, development, growth, and expansion are important threads that bind strong communities, and Rainbow Marketplace is open for business at 101 Broad Street, and whereas Rainbow Rocket Marketplace is an existing business relocating from Searles Avenue to the Broad Street location in historic downtown, and whereas Amanda Chavez has been in the secondhand business for over 20 years and is the owner of Rainbow Marketplace, whereas Amanda Chavez notes, when you hear vintage clothing, for me, there's a certain kind of niche. We do vintage, but we also do secondhand apparel that's vintage inspired. Those are also things that need to be taken out of the landfill too. People come here and go. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. Thank you for that. And whereas a grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony will be held at Rainbow Market on Friday, July 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m., and whereas the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony will be an opportunity for the city, community, visitors, and other businesses to visit and enjoy Rainbow Rocket Marketplace, and whereas the City Council and the City of Nevada City wish to recognize and applaud businesses as investors in our community. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City of Nevada City and the City Council does hereby honor the opening of Rainbow Rocket Marketplace and urges those who visit, live, work, and play in Nevada City to eat and shop local by patronizing Rainbow Rocket Marketplace. The whole thing's a mouthful. Rainbow Rocket. and all of our Nevada City businesses, or by attending the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony on July 19th, 2023.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This mini mic here. Well, I couldn't do a lot of this without my community, and as a small business owner, I just want to bring back, I think sometimes what's lacking in Nevada City is that funky, fun kind of attitude and expression, and I just would love to just open up, not just as a clothing store, but as a place where we can all just get together and share, you know, music, and we want to start doing like women's groups and things like that, so we can, like I said, we can dress fashionably, but also be very in touch with each other in our community. So I really appreciate everybody, and congratulations.
Thank you. All right, this is going to be a year of a lot of reading, which I'm excited for. So next we have a proclamation to recognize and honor Parks and Recreation Month this year in 2023. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Nevada City, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks and trails, and whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illness such as depression, attention deficit disorders, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas in 1985, the U.S. House of Representatives designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the National Recreation and Parks Association, the NRPA, promotes each July as Parks and Recreation Month, with the theme for 2023 being Where Community Grows. And now, oh wait, one more whereas, the City of Nevada City recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Nevada City does hereby recognize July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month in Nevada City and encourages those who live, work, and play and thrive in and around Nevada City to enjoy one of the many parks, trails, pools, and recreation programming opportunities provided by the city. Woo! Yay for Parks and Recreation Month.
Dawn's here if you would like to.
Dawn, I would love to invite you up to the podium, our Parks and Recs Director, just to say a few words about
Look at her. She looks.
any of that.
Yay, Dawn.
Well, unlike you, Mayor, I loathe giving speeches, so I'll keep it quick. I just want to thank this council for making Parks and Recreation a priority, and for previous councils for always recognizing the importance of Parks and Recreation in our community, and all the things that proclamation stated, that it does help with health and vitality in communities. So thank you for recognizing it this month.
Yes, and let me give this to you also.
You're on Parks and Rec with me now. Nice. Okay, skate park. Yeah. I got lots of right in his backyard. There'll be a drop-in from his roof.
All right, just about 7 more presentations. I'm kidding. Okay, let's talk about public comment. Public comment code, government code section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the city council on any matter not on the agenda. That is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on a non-agenda item. Councils may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item at the time it is heard. Is there any public comment in the room on a non-agendized item? Come on up to the podium. Let us know your name and where you live, and we'd love to hear from you.
My name's Itira O'Connell. I live in Grass Valley, and I come here a lot. And I really would love to know what happened to all the parking plans and projects. That's my public comment.
Thanks, Itara.
Hello, my name's Richard Baker, and I live at 15092 Manzanita Diggins Drive in Nevada City. And my comment is that I believe that the council should, should consider expanding the opportunity to serve either as a city council member or a planning commissioner outside of the exact borders of Nevada City. I think that there are many residents who live in the 95959 that could provide leadership and service to the city that don't have the opportunity to do that because they live essentially across the street, which is where I live. Just, minutes from downtown, and, a 56-year resident of this place. And I think that given the circumstances of our housing, that expanding the area of service, I suppose, would also make it easier for individuals who are serving, who are in a circumstance where they need to change residence, would have an easier time of finding housing within the service zone. So, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Richard.
Good evening, Diana Gamzon. I just want to acknowledge and thank Councilmember Fleming for your service this past year as our mayor. Thank you so much for all the hard work and what was accomplished this past year, and looking forward to the upcoming year. Mayor Fernandez.
Thanks so much, Diana. Any other public comment in the room not on an agendized item? All right, look at this. We're hot tonight. Hot mic, hot mic.
This is the most public comment.
Jim Morris, and I have to echo Richard's comments because I can walk to town, but I'm not in the city limits. But I appreciate what you guys have been doing, and that's something I want to say, but it sounds just too much of a downer, so I'll just talk to the police chief about it later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Jim, I'm here for it all, the upper, the downer. Just so you know in the future. Any other public comment in the room? And Gabby, do we have any public comment online?
If you'd like to speak on any items not on the agenda, please raise your hand, your virtual hand, lower right-hand corner. We do not, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Neil Locke, hello, welcome to the podium.
Thank you.
Let us know what you got in store for us this evening.
I'm not going to have much for you this evening
Oh,
because it's not needed anymore. This started when the pot people were all in here, and they sat through the meetings and they were bored to tears.
did you say the pot people?
The pot people, or the people growing marijuana, or whatever you want to call it. See, that's a generational gap. Now, I do want to help Richard out, and the city attorney will substantiate this. It'd be fun to have you out from outside, but the city or the state constitution does not allow anybody out of the area. You have to be elected. And I think that's correct,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, or Mr. Attorney. Yeah.
There would definitely have to be some modifications to the law to allow that, yes.
Yes. And do you think we have enough people to do that?
I don't know that.
Okay. So I'm not going to do it tonight. That's the reason I did it. And I can tell right now, this is going to be one of the most entertaining years this city has ever seen.
Fantastic.
And I've seen lots of councils, and I congratulate you on doing it. And I congratulate all of you. I think this is the best city council or city government I have seen in 40 years.
Wow. Thank you, Mr.
Neil, I was thinking about you earlier today when I learned it was National French Fry Day.
Oh, it is. And you know, now I'll have to go.
Yes, please.
It's been brought up. It's also National Baked Bean Day.
Well, there's a deal.
Yes. The French fries are kind of interesting, though.
You're going to do it anyways, huh?
Pardon?
You're going to do it anyways.
Yes,
Great.
part of it. I'll do part of it.
Fantastic.
French fries are perhaps poorly named since they originated in Belgium and are the most popular in America. In England, these are referred to as chips. Though French fries were invented in Europe, the potatoes which they were made from came from the United States, from the Americas. Leaving this potato skin on French fries actually leaves in important vitamins that are lost when the skins are peeled. The first occurrence of French fries in America was at a diplomatic dinner hosted by Thomas Jefferson.
Thank you for that
You're
history of the French fry. I did have French fries today.
Good. I had them last night. So I will continue if you like, but call me. Just let me know.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
as I said, this is going to be a wild year for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay, with that, if there's no more public comment in the room, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent calendar, or the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Great, we've got a motion by Councilmember Peterson.
Vice Mayor Peterson.
Excuse me. Vice Mayor Peterson.
I didn't do that.
And a second by Councilmember Klein.
Lowly Councilmember Klein.
Are there any objections to the motion? All right, hearing none, the motion carries. And then we're moving on. Yeah. Is that good? Yeah, good. Great. So next we have a public hearing. Agenda item number 5. Conduct a public hearing in consideration of ordinance 2023-06, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Nevada City adding chapter 17.118 public art requirements to title 17 zoning relating to public art requirements. Adopt a public art policy and consideration of resolution 2023-40, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, establishing a fee schedule for public art applications. Sean Grayson, Mr. City Manager, please take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If you hadn't heard already, or those watching at home, hot off the presses, Movie Maker Magazine, the leading film industry publication and website, focused on the art and craft of making movies, recently named the Nevada City Film Festival one of the 25 coolest film festivals.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you. Hopefully most of you attended. That's great. So the quote is, if you're hoping to find a tiny arts town to escape to and enjoy celebrating cinema for its own sake, and you feel like the big events may have lost their magic, look no further than the Nevada City Film Festival.
Wow. Fantastic.
So it said a tiny arts town, which is cool. We're not a town, we're a city, but I'll take town. And we've been all about the arts since long before I landed here in 1976 or thereabouts. But we've never had a public arts ordinance. So I'm glad we're here this evening to entertain this and see if it's the right thing for the city. So as you know, through our strategic planning process, a public art process was something that was heavily discussed both in our workshops and brought up in our surveys. I went back through the surveys and did a count. The word art was brought up a little over 700 times in the surveys, so maybe they meant different kind of art, but probably not. So the Vibrancy Strategic Initiative Committee conducted 3 public meetings to draft and review a public art ordinance and the public art policy that you have before you this evening. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on the draft ordinance on June 15th this year. There were several comments from the public and the commission on the ordinance. The submitted written public comment from the Planning Commission is in the packet. Those public comments that were received relative to the council meeting tonight are at the back of the packet for those that are watching at home or on their phones in the audience looking. So the comments could be generally categorized as supportive of the ordinance, recommending that the ordinance not include murals in the historic district, recommending that the art ordinance not apply in the historical district, recommending that the ordinance return to the city council in a year to review the process and then consider inclusion in the historical district if it were prohibited at initial reading. And then lastly, recommending a greater emphasis on temporary public art. So the ordinance adds a chapter to our zoning ordinance that regulates public art on private property. So this is essentially under the same architectural regulations that already exist in the city. It requires certain non-residential future developments to either provide public art as part of their development or to pay an in lieu fee into a public art fund. So they wouldn't have to pay the fee, they could provide the art in their development. Again, those are non-residential projects. The ordinance also establishes an opportunity for existing projects to apply to place art on private property in the same fashion that a new project would be required to. So there's a process for application, review, and approval of the public art. The process includes review by something called an art review authority, and then subsequently design review authority. The design review authority in this case, as is consistent with our municipal code, would be our planning commission. They would be reviewing the project for consistency with zoning regulations, including the surrounding architectural features, just like they do today if you were painting the side of your building or you were building a pedestal to put a non-art piece on or fencing around it. It also establishes a process for the approval of temporary art installations. In this case, it's defined as 90 days or less, as well as an opportunity to approve temporary art associated with special event applications approved by the council. The ordinance does establish a public art fund in which fees generated from the ordinance would be deposited. Again, there has to be a nexus for the fees that we charge to the services that we provide. In this case, there is the potential for an in lieu fee to be provided from a new development if they chose not to put art on their project. But we could only use that for an art purpose, so that would go in the public art fund. Additionally, we would place all the other fees charged for the placement of public art on existing projects into that public art fund, and then that fund would be available for the use of the council in art-related activities. The draft ordinance is materially the same as what the Vibrancy Committee reviewed and came up with. In the staff report, I did include language that would address, should the council desire, to prohibit murals within the historical district, which is one of the recommendations or public input at the Planning Commission level. I also included language that would prohibit art in its entirety in the historical district in there. And then the emphasis on temporary art, there is a section within it that defines public art. It is essentially the same process, except for the applicant would not have to submit a maintenance plan because it's going away in 90 days. And it would be, there would not be the two-part process. It would simply be approved by the city council. It could be installed and then have to be removed within 90 days. So the draft public art policy. So we talked about an ordinance. The ordinance is all about the application of art on private property. The public art policy, this is a city council policy. It's an umbrella document that would enable the council to implement public art on city-owned or controlled properties. So different, obviously, because you know, it's not going through our zoning ordinance, but it outlines all the options that the council could use using general fund money, public art ordinance, or public art fund monies, or any other source to implement public art in public places. So it does not require any specific action. We would anticipate that if you adopt this policy this evening, that the item would go back to the Vibrancy Committee for them to engage anybody that would like to come to those meetings, but especially anybody that's interested in the application of art in public places, to come and comment on what our first opportunity might be, and then hopefully the Vibrancy Committee would make a recommendation back to the full council for our first installation of public art in public places. That we have a small funding stream to use for, but that we would hope to see relatively soon. The resolution that's attached, it is the fee resolution, so it just amends our master fee schedule. The public art in lieu fee is 1% of the development project costs, or they could just provide the public art. Public art application fee is $750. This is essentially going through 2 public hearings. The analogous cost would be a conditional use permit if it were to go in front of the Planning Commission, which would be $2,200. So it is a significant reduction from that, although I understand $750 is still a cost. The temporary public art application would be $225, and it would only be $100 if it was submitted with a city special event application, because the council will already be hearing that item for the approval of the special event application. Staff would recommend that you conduct a public hearing and then take 2 separate votes, because Dean told me so. No. Because there's really 2 different things going on here. So one is the ordinance and the resolution. The resolution is the fees associated with the ordinance, and the separate vote would be on the policy, which would be the public art and public places policy. And as this went through the Vibrancy Committee, I will give it back to you, Madam Mayor, to maybe discuss or share with the council and the community how that process worked with the committee.
Thank you so much. You guys got all that, right? You with us?
Adam, repeat that. Would you just
Yeah, just one more time. So yeah, Adam and I were part of the Vibrancy Committee. What a great committee. I'm gonna pass it over to Adam first to just kind of talk a little bit about that process before we go to public comment.
Okay. Yes, hello. The Vibrancy Committee is new, and like this meeting is a public meeting. We had good attendance, I thought, until today. I thought our attendance was excellent at the Vibrancy meetings until just now, when I realized you can get way more people in this room. But we had stakeholders and artists and people interested in art from all over the town and whole community offering input, and everyone who spoke made me think of something I hadn't thought of before. And Sean was guiding us through the whole process. We are part of a cultural district in the state of California. That's a big deal. It's the Grass Valley, Nevada City Cultural District. We will work on swapping those names. I've lived in Grass Valley and Nevada City, and I've been way more creative in Nevada City, so it should go first in that name. But it's a big deal that we're part of that, and it's odd that we, until tonight, haven't been talking about public art here. A big part that interested me was the idea of giving the Seven Hills District an identity of its own. I kept hearing the phrase placemaking. Seven Hills is where a lot of us locals go to do a lot of our shopping, grocery and otherwise. So the idea of getting art up there is particularly exciting to me, what it could mean for that area. Some of the discussion that we've had, some of the emails that we've had, and that people have said outright, has been a lot of concern about losing the history of this place by bringing art in, and history versus art feels to me like a false choice. An example that I thought up today is, I think, probably more than any other time in history, right now there are more 12-year-old Americans who know who Aaron Burr is because of the Hamilton musical. And that's just pure education, framed in an entertaining, artistic way, and they've latched onto it. So the idea that art would make us lose our history, when I think it's an opportunity to learn our history, that seems wrong. But that said, I want to read the mission statement that we have at the top of every meeting agenda we have. The City of Nevada City is dedicated to preserving and enhancing its small-town character and historical architecture while providing quality public services for our current and future residents, businesses, and visitors. We've done an excellent job preserving, and I think we will continue to do that. But enhancing is what this is about. So I'm excited about this, and thanks for all being here. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Indeed. And I'm going to stick more to some facts right now and then send it to public comment. And then when we come back to the table, kind of talk about how or the whys of what I'm about to say. So, Adam, you're correct. You know, we had artists, we had arts administrators come to the Vibrancy Committee meetings. The Chamber of Commerce came, the Arts Council was present, and then when it went to Planning Commission, there was a broader array of stakeholders. The Historical Society weighed in and a few others. And so just taking into consideration the culture and the climate of our districts, right, of our areas, the Vibrancy is going to look to the council. We're going to make the recommendation, the committee to the council, that we do not include the historical district and that we use the language in the staff report, you know, no public art shall be in the historical district except temporary public art. So we're talking about permanent public art. And the committee is going to make a recommendation that we do this for the term of nearly a year. And then after the first of the year, while we're still in this council configuration, we will come back to the table, talk about how temporary art went in the historic district, talk about the successes, the failures, and then we can discuss how we want to move forward in the historical district. If we want to move forward in the same way, if, you know, just really open to all opportunities. Maybe we do public art, you know, temporary art in the historic district, and we figure out it doesn't work. Or maybe it works so well we want to make something permanent. So we have a little bit of space there. So again, I'm going to leave it to those facts and then open it up to the room. Any public comment in the room on this item, please?
Hi, my name's Itira. I live in Grass Valley, and I come here often. I'm wondering what you consider historical. I mean, are you starting with the gold miner guys, or are you starting with the Nisenan people that were here before? So I can imagine a Nisenan tribe statue in our historical district. And so I'm curious about this no historical district idea. And $750 is too much money to make a proposal. So I'm thinking maybe the proposal could be a smaller amount, and then if it gets to the next level or more serious and more people get involved to, you know, jack up your price at that point or something. But I just really think that when we're talking about art, we're not talking about people that usually have money to start with, and so I'm thinking to support the artists, you might start at a lower fee. That's my public comment. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Itara.
Hi, Julie Baker, Nevada City. I just wanted to applaud you for coming up with a public art ordinance and policy. I think that's absolutely the right move. We are one of the 14 designated pilot districts for cultural districts in the state of California. And I think that investing in art and the enhancement of our community through art not only will provide economic development to the community where more people come for the destination, as you said, Sean, in terms of the film festival and others. Those things are bringing cultural tourism to our community, which is a huge economic impact, as well as the deep meaning that arts bring to teaching our community about our past and our history. So I would just also share that while I think it's a prudent political decision to keep out the historic district at this time, that I would support having the ordinance in the historic district as well. Thank you.
I want to echo, this is Jim Morris, Willow Valley Road, Sphere of Influence. I want to echo both of those comments regarding the bringing the ordinance into the historical district, and also the fee. I mean, $2,200, and you don't know if it's going to be approved. that's a little too much. I mean, you've heard the term starving artists, right? They don't have a lot of money. So in any case, I would hope we could bring forward, discuss those ideas. Thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Such a supportive crowd. Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Arts ordinance. Hi, Steve. Come on up.
Hey, I'm Steve Benoit. I live in the city. So the only thing is, I haven't heard what art means to you, and I know a lot of cities it's a statue or it's a painting. Obviously, it's not a mural in this group right now. So, but if it's Nevada City Film Festival, it could be a little drive-in something. It could be music. It could be a lot of stuff. So I'd love to find out what it includes, and I hope it's as inclusive as possible.
Great.
Right.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Gabby, do we have anybody online that wants to give public comment?
We do. Hold on one sec. Go ahead, Stephen Greenberg.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Stephen. We can hear you.
Great, thanks. And congratulations to the new mayor and vice mayor. I, like so far everybody else, I guess, that I've heard speaking, I'm very supportive and excited about any new public art ordinance and policy in this town that welcomes public art. I'm concerned about some of what I read in the agenda packet. There's the letter from the Historical Society and another from Pam Meek. And they seem to be particularly concerned with the historical district. And I get that. There's some debate about that. And I also get that there's this compromise idea of revisiting it in a year. I would like to suggest to shift that compromise, include the historical district, and revisit that in a year. I don't think anybody would honestly suggest that a new public art process is going to destroy the historical district in the space of 1 year. Despite suggestions for the risk of a proliferation of visual clutter, becoming just another Anytown USA, art by its very nature is unique. It's not about clutter, and it's not about looking like every other town. It's just about the opposite of that. And the historical district underlines preservation of places and buildings to indicate it's not just about architecture, it's about places and buildings. But like Councilmember Klein said, the whole idea here is to enhance those places and buildings, not to detract from it. So the Historical Society warns that this has the potential to detract from our architecture and violate the purpose of the historical ordinance. I don't see how, but in any event, that's the potential. It has the potential to enhance it too, and in fact, that's the whole point. That's the idea. That's why so many people have thrown their efforts and support into this. So I would encourage you to do as I suggested. Include the historical. This is public art. This is where the public mostly hangs out, is downtown, where we want to encourage the public to hang out. Let's include visual art, finally, as a very significant and acknowledged and important part of that experience, and try that out for a year. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephen.
That is all, Madam Mayor.
All right, and I'm going to bring it back to the table, but I just want to clarify one thing that I wanted to mention in the committee report is about the Art Review Authority. So the Art Review Authority, to start out with, will be the Vibrancy Committee, which is Adam and myself. Adam and I are not interested in being that authority very long. We would like to institute a Public Arts Commission, but while we're laying the groundwork and the framework for that, we are the Public Art Authority, and we thought the best way to do that was invite representative from stakeholder groups. And we identified 5 stakeholder groups. We've reached out to those groups to ask if they would offer a volunteer from their organization to advise Adam and I on those decisions for public art. And we've identified CHIRP, the Historical Society, the Arts Council, the Chamber of Commerce, and then a role as an artist in residence, like a specific artist. And of course, if that artist were connected to something that, came forward, or any of those organizations were connected with something that came forward, they would recuse themselves. And so just so we know, that's what the Art Review Authority will look like. And we hope to bring back the framework for an arts commission, hopefully by the end of this year, beginning of next year. So I'm bringing it back to the table. Comments, questions, let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump
Okay.
on in.
All right, I'll jump right in. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the comment as well. A couple of thoughts. I did note, and I just rechecked this, though, that Nevada City routinely shows up in the top 100 arts communities in the United States. So we are recognized for our arts. It's taken a long time to get to an ordinance, and we've moved rather quickly. So I counsel for a developmental approach to this, and not throw it all in at once. We have a community with many different perspectives and opinions. And for the gentleman, about art, what's the great quote about art? I don't know what art is, but when I see it, I know it. But that's when I see it. So it's very subjective. I think we need to to not implement into the historic district, I think the accommodation of the temporary art makes a lot of sense, because we have already done that with installations in Robinson Plaza and around. And I think that to revisit that, to understand that we're starting on something that has never been done, and that we need to move judiciously, smartly with this, and not just throw everything against the wall at once, see what's working. I really appreciate the revisit of that, because it'll be a different conversation at that point when we realize what it's like to work into this. The other part I really support is the development of a commission. If we're going to do this, I think for me, part of it is doing it right, where we have a designated commission who they can decide what art is. Or we can let Dean decide what art. I have managed arts ordinances in the past. I think one of the stories I like to tell is that a temporary piece of art went up in a downtown that I used to manage, and everybody was really thrilled it was temporary. And by the time the 90 days were up, people wouldn't let us take it down. So we need to live into that. We need to live into the flexibility. We need to bring people on board as we move forward, rather than to just throw it all out there. That's kind of where I am. I absolutely support this, every aspect of it, with the conditions that you described, and I think are critical to build consensus in our community around something that could otherwise become very divisive.
Thanks, Gary. What else?
I'm a big fan of public art. Ever since a business owner had a wonderful statue of Ralph Steadman statue of Hunter Thompson taken away from his property, I realized then, I was like, well, why did they take it away? It's private property. What's going on here? And then I realized there was no official framework for them to put even, public art or art on their private property. And so, I think we started talking about this when Joan was here, and, I just like to commend the Vibrancy Committee for getting us here pretty quickly as far as ordinances go. You guys did a really great job. You got a lot of stakeholder group, and I think you guys have come up with a nice balance to test this out. Obviously, we want to make sure things are running smooth before we unleash it, in certain areas. We could debate about whether art enhances or detracts from the historic district. We can argue that both ways. I don't think there's any real solution to that. But I think that a measured approach, as Gary said, and the approach that you put forward, Daniela, I think that's the best way for us to proceed. And it gives everybody a chance to get art. I mean, this also started as a part of a conversation about revitalizing the Seven Hills District, and the Onyx wanting to put up a mural on their building. And, it's been less than a year and it's here, and I think that's just the awesomeness of this council and our committees. I'm really excited about this. And I think that, we're striking a nice balance, balancing of all stakeholder groups, being maybe a little overcautious for some people, but, I think that we have a golden goose that we don't want to kill. So I think this is the best way to do it, and I really appreciate the public comment on all sides of this issue, and I think we're in a really good space, and I'm excited to vote on this.
Thanks, Doug. Any other comments, Adam? Thoughts, comments? Queries?
I have no queries at this time. Hold on. I find myself excited to vote on this, and then it will be done. Well, it's a second reading, next meeting, I guess. The wheels of government turn slowly, Madam Mayor. But I'm excited that we're doing this, and I'm excited that we're planning ahead to revisit it. Do we have a date picked for when we're going to revisit it? Is that set in stone yet?
It'll be before July, I promise you that.
Yeah, it'll be.
We're talking January, December?
I think spring. I think.
Spring.
I think spring.
That's far too specific for me. I was hoping for a date. No, that's spring's good. Spring. I'm open
work
to
for
spring.
you?
Yeah, I'm open spring.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear that the fee is $750, not $2,200. Sean, can you just talk for a minute about that fee? Who pays that fee? What is the situation? And how that's different than the temporary art fee? Real quick.
Yeah, so put it in the context of something that probably people are familiar with is that the Onyx is expanding their business. They're taking up the building all the way to Searles Avenue, and they want to paint a mural on the side of their building, right? And I don't know if Selena's here tonight. Sarah Coleman is the artist that will be doing that mural. I think everyone knows who she is, doing the Target mural right now, did the inside the Nevada Theater. So it would not be Sarah that would be paying this, it would be the Onyx Theater that would be paying this. They would pay a fee, an application fee, just to paint the side of that wall. So that is
So this is private property.
This is private property, architectural change. If they wanted to paint it, if they wanted to change the siding, any of those kind of things, there would be a fee. This is the analogous fee to that. The reason for the elevation of the fee, why it's analogous to a conditional use permit, is because it has two public hearings. It's going to go before the Art Review Authority and then the Design Review Authority, in this case the Vibrancy Committee, and then the Planning Commission. So that's a significant expense. We will I guarantee we'll expend more money in that process than that application fee. We'll spend almost that much just in public hearing notices. But I also understand that it is problematic for the artist. So it's not the applicant, it's not the artist that pays it, it's the applicant that would otherwise pay just to paint their buildings anyway. I would hope that the applicant would also be paying the artist a fair fee for the art that they are providing them. That is not regulated by the city, but that's what the application fee is.
Question?
Thank you, yeah.
And if an artist wanted to place something in a public area, that fee would not be associated with that?
So if you wanted to do that, that would fall under the public art policy, where the council has the authority to regulate public art in public places. And so that would be at the discretion of the council. I would think not, but it would be up to you. I would think it would be the inverse of that. We would be paying them to provide that art and put it in a public place.
So what I'm hearing is that the artist does not get charged these permit fees. It's either the project developer who is acquiring art, who would also pay these fees to acquire any other change to their facility. And if the city did it, we would not have to charge the artist for that permit at our discretion.
Correct. And the applicant, in the case if the owner or the business owner, the property owner or the business owner, is buying that art. So they're doing an application to place art that they bought on their property, and they own that art now. That's because that's the applicant relationship, just like they own the building or the paint that goes on the building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question along these same lines? Can you talk a little bit about the development fee and why this makes sense here, and why we shouldn't be prioritizing things like fire with, those kind of fees there? I mean, that's come up a fair amount.
Absolutely, and I think this council has prioritized fire. It's not that we put our strategic plan in any priority order, but you will find fire at the top of the list. That was the most commonly referred to item in our strategic planning process. The simple answer is we couldn't charge a fee to artists to provide fire protection or to provide fuels abatement. So the 1% is against construction costs is a very common way to generate money. I will tell you that I find it unlikely that I will ever levy that fee in my time here. Hopefully it's the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Because one of two things will happen. First of all, we don't get a lot of commercial development, right? That does not apply to residential development. And second, if you're a developer, you're going to put art in instead of pay the fee, which is what we want, is public art. So they'd have to go through the same process along the way. I would also like to, note that the council has been clear to me in their direction that those other things are a priority, and how we fund them will be coming to a council meeting near you soon. So come back, everybody in the audience, come back when you want to hear how we're going to fund all of those other things that are important to the community.
Thank you, Sean. That was
Great,
well
thank
put.
you. And there's something else I want to say about the historic district, and I'm gathering my words here. If you listen to me or if you know me, you might know that I have critique of the time period we've chosen to glamorize. It is a genocidal one. That's not what's up for debate here. It's also not up for debate whether or not we personally like murals. I love murals. Would I like to see murals in downtown Nevada City? Historic Nevada City? I would. However, they're not historic as the way that we've defined our historic district. That is a fact. And I don't want to mess with that, okay? Because our historic district saved us as a city. And I think that we have to continue to respect that. Do I want murals? Yes. Let's mural the heck out of the Seven Hills district, right? And places just outside the 3 streets, the 4 streets, this, condensed area of our historical mother lode 1850 era, right? That's very, very specific, and it's very special. And it is charming, right? So I just want to say that. That's not what this is about. All of these things can be true. And with that, I'm looking for a motion, 3 of them. The first one, to hold the first reading, waive reading of the ordinance in its entirety, read only by title, and schedule for second reading and adoption for July 27th, 2023.
With just one proposed modification, with the language with the modifications as directed to staff.
So moved.
And if you don't mind, Madam Mayor, let me just clarify what that language is. It would be to, I'll let you have a second first, sorry, my apologies.
Can I get a second for that motion?
Second.
So it would be adding it'd be 17.118.050.g to read, projects other than temporary public art located in the historical district. That's under the exceptions. And then it would revise 17.118.080B to read, no public art shall be located in the historical district other than temporary public art as detailed in 17.118.095.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call, Gabby, please?
On ordinance number 2023-06, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, State of California, adding Chapter 17.118 of the City of Nevada City Municipal Code relating to public art requirements. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
And Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
Motion
Great.
carries.
Can I get a motion to adopt the public art policy?
I move we adopt the public art policy.
I second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
I'm getting there. Mayor Fernandez.
Yes. And finally, looking for a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the public art fees.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Great. Roll call, Gabby, please.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peterson.
Yes.
Mayor Fernandez.
Yes, you're doing great, Gabby. Passes 4-0. We're on our way. Those of you that are hanging in there for that toast, I promise we're going to breeze right through these next items. So I am looking for, on to business. Agenda item number 6, consideration of an extension of time request for filing of a final map for the project known as The Grove off Providence Mine Road, Nevada City, California. Take it away, Lisa. Lisa, our interim city planner. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So the item before you is an extension of time for the tentative map applied for by Robert Upton, the applicant and holder of the map for the Grove project. In May, staff ministerially approved an extension for him, but we later found that we needed to take a closer look at it. He gave us an application for an extension. I believe the date was on April 26th of this year. That would have gone to City Planner Amy Wolfson. And she was thinking about it after she left and was like, hey guys, I think this needs to go to council. So here we are, and in the research that I did, the municipal code does point to the fact that an extension of time needs to be granted by council. I also verified with that the project or the extension is allowable with the Subdivision Map Act. And the map was set to expire on June 9th, but the Subdivision Map Act allows for the proposed extension as long as the application is received before the map expires. It allows for an extension or for that specific allowance under the MAP Act is for 60 days or until it is approved by the hearing body. Any questions for me right out of the gate? Any questions? Specific questions about anything she just said?
I got a lot of questions about the Grove.
I hope not too many. Okay, we're gonna, thank you, Lisa. We're gonna take public comment. Okay.
It is the applicant representative.
Oh, is he here? Oh, great. Hello.
Andy Casano, the applicant's representative from Nevada City Engineering.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Council. I'm Andy Casano. I'm a planner and land surveyor with Nevada City Engineering representing the Grove. Robert Upton couldn't be here this evening. So this is probably the most public hearing project that's ever been extended. A while back, despite this huge professional team we had, we let the tentative map expire. So it was actually processed twice. Now we're working on the second approval. So it's actually been through 4 public hearings. And anyway, as Lisa outlined, we're trying to just correct the extension that was granted and make sure it's all right. But I'm here to answer any questions you have about it, and we appreciate your time this evening.
Great, thank you so much, and please stick around. We might have some questions. All right, and now we will go to public comment. Any public comment in the room? All right, and Gabby, what about online?
If you would like to speak on this item, please raise your virtual hand, lower right-hand corner. We do not, Madam Mayor.
All right, council, do we have questions, comments?
You know, I'd like to just know a little bit about the history in between Andy and Lisa. When did this project first get approved? And how long have we been, sort of envisioning this project? Andy, I know you were there from the beginning, so I'm just trying to get a frame of reference of, has it been 10 years? Has it been 5 years? Has it been 6?
Andy Casano again. I think I was a little boy when I started working on this project. I honestly can't remember the years. I mean, what really happened is that the city was going through some housing element updates. They made a concerted effort to look for properties in the city that could accept higher density projects without impacting neighborhoods. They had tours around town, and they invited property owners to come in and say, take a look at my place. And out of that process, the Grove and a couple of other properties kind of came to the surface as areas to look at. And during the housing element updates, why draft site plans and such were presented on the Grove, and after the housing element was adopted, then a formal application came through. It was designed by a pretty great team of Brent Daggett was the architect, and Robert Upton, I think, really tried to come up with something that would fit in. As a planner, I was excited about it. You know, one of the strategies for trying to reduce traffic is to put housing where jobs are and jobs where housing is, and just try to reduce the need for people to own cars and to commute long distances to get their stuff done. And this is really in walking distance of Seven Hills Business District, where all this cool art is going to show up. And yeah, I like it, and I hope it gets built here one of these days. And I couldn't tell you exactly. I couldn't tell you about the economics of why it's not built at this point. But
Yeah, I appreciate it, Andy. It's nice to understand the history. You know, the concern for myself, and I think I might be as bold to speak for some of our council members, is when, you know, getting projects done. You know, we need housing now. We need housing yesterday. And I realize that, you know, housing doesn't work like that, except for the Cashman's Field somehow got built really quickly. But, you know, the point is, you know, we wanted to, you know, I wanted to just have some kind of commitment from Mr. Upton that, you know, this is either going to be marketed a little bit more aggressively or sold at some point to somebody who's actually going to take it and do things with it. And I don't know if you've had conversations with him about that. You know, I spoke with him last week, and we didn't talk about this issue actually, but I just would like to, and I know that he's intending to sell this. He's probably not going to develop it himself. And so, you know, with your insight into the situation, what can we do as a city to incentivize and help him get these projects, you know, get the project built or sold, or just somebody who's going to build it?
well, I'll be happy to pass that sentiment along, and I don't think you're the only council member or person in the city that feels that way. So I'd be happy to pass that along, and maybe he could get back to the council with some information on that. But I share your interest. I think it'd be a really nice project, and I'd love to see it built. And I'll give some thought to, what you guys can contribute. Maybe some art.
Well, I think you guys, well, no. But, you have this dynamic where the courthouse may end up there. So there's a big, factor in this whole equation. So anyway, we'll talk to Mr. Upton, but anything you can pass along to him about, my request for urgency would be great.
I'd be most happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Gary?
Yeah, sure. Got a couple things. One, with Doug on getting it built. The greatest shortage that we have in this city is the capacity of staff to do the work that we have. These kinds of projects, if you look at the hundreds of hours that staff has put into this over the course of at least 10 to 12 years with no result, we have to really think about that. So though I am willing to support an extension for 2 years, I'm really not going to be have to get reelected to say no the next time. But that's kind of where I'm going to be. The other piece of this that I have that I think is really important is that the conversations, and I've got a document here from 2012 that presented the affordable housing plan part of this. And in fact, in that document, it was always a plan to sell at least half of the project to other people to build the larger homes. But there were designations. There were no deed restrictions. People were averse to deed restrictions. Developers are always averse to deed restrictions, and I understand that. However, the laws have changed in the state of California, and we really have a need to nail down affordable housing. We've got requirements we have to meet. I understand. I had a lot of long conversations about this. It is not within our purview to impose new conditions on the map as it is a tentative map until it's finalized. However, in good faith, Mr. Upton has in 2012 and again when it was re-upped, has pledged to take on portions of this as affordable housing. And we would expect, and I would hope that the project gets built, and I don't have to say no in 2 years, and that when it is built, that Mr. Upton would honor his commitment to the aspects of the affordable housing that he had agreed to in the past. I think that's really important. I think it'd be difficult for us to make him do that without the deed restrictions, but it was done in good faith, and I would hope that we would honor that.
Thank you, Gary.
And that was the affordable by design concept, right?
That's right.
And that was allowed under the RENA regulations prior and is no longer the case. So,
Andy, it's great to see you. I hope the next time I see you, it's at the ribbon cutting.
I hope to see you before that, but
No,
yeah, I agree.
it'd be nice to see you before that, but let's have it
Adam,
be.
do you have any questions?
I'm just chatting with Andy. Looking at the timeline, it's just, as the years have passed, the whole idea has gotten more and more cost prohibitive, and I expect it will probably continue doing so. So striking while the iron is lukewarm seems to be the best case scenario at this point. I echo what my colleague said. We need residential space. I've got daydreams of that place down there being small apartments for people in their 20s who are able to work remotely, with cafes on the bottom floor that they can go hit up and not contribute to traffic, not contribute to parking issues, and just have a little community down there that can walk to SPD when they need to. If you'd like to buy in on that, I'm looking for investors. That's a daydream. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Adam. I have nothing new to say. Gary, thank you so much for your comments. Thanks for laying down the law. Next, I will be looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
I move we adopt the resolution for an extension. Dean? You were doing this, and I was like, what did I do wrong?
He was doing it in advance of you talking.
Can I get a second?
It is just an extension of time. There is no attached
I'll
resolution.
give a second to that one.
Great. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Fernandez?
Yes. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks,
Andy.
Passes 4-0.
And then finally, agenda item number 7, thank you, Lisa, also. Consideration of adoption of, nope, is that right? Yes, it is. Adoption of the City Council and the City of Nevada City approving the appointment of City Council members to internal and external committees and regional bodies for July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. One of my duties as mayor is that I get to appoint council members to committees. I personally really value seniority and preference, so I reached out to all council members to ask them where they would like to be, where they would like to stay, where they would like to go. And we got what was attached to our packet.
I think you told me where to go.
I told you where to go, Gary. You do really good with that, with direction.
He takes direction.
All right. Any public comment on this item from the audience or at home, Gabby?
No one.
Great. And what about at the table? Any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, queries?
I like it. I think, you know, as we're just into the second year with really a relatively new council, and where the skills and interests and stuff become more visible, and I think you understood that and acted accordingly, and made some wise decisions on where to put us where we can be most effective, except for Adam, but, you know.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
That's well put.
And also something that I think is important is, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. There's committees that meet at a certain time and it conflicts with the schedule, or maybe we just really, really, really can't ever want to make it to this one. So we're going to do a check-in halfway through the year, at the end of the year, figure out how things are going, who's able to show up, not show up, and see if we need to reconfigure. And it's also a little bit of accountability piece for us to just say, who's showing up to their committee meetings and who's not, and not in a way of punishment, but in a way of saying we want Nevada City to put their best foot forward and be able to show up to meetings, and so we need the best combination of people possible. Any other comments?
I think it's great, Madam Mayor. I'm excited to do Parks and Rec with Adam. I think that's a great fit. I think Gary's great on the Fire Council, and I'm excited to do housing with you.
Great. Awesome. Adam?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being on Parks. I'm looking forward. I'm on policing now with Gary, which will be great. And I think Gary will be a tremendous asset to the Fire Safety Advisory Committee. I think that's the big move.
Yeah.
And also I want to note that Lou Cece will be the new Nisanon liaison member to the council, and I'm excited to usher him into that role. And I'm looking for a motion to adopt the resolution.
I move we adopt the resolution.
I second.
Great. Roll call, please. Gabby?
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
And Mayor Fernandez?
Yes. Great. Moving right on, we're going to do
You're gonna
some
get us
quick,
out
what's that?
You're going to get us out of here.
I know, I'm going to get us out of here. City manager, council member report backs, future agenda items. Do we have any? Let's start with the city manager.
I'll be brief.
You don't have anything?
I'm
Great.
paid by the word. A couple things, mostly for people at home or in the audience. As you know, summer's in full swing. Last night was our first summer nights. This weekend is our first full-on heat wave. So, you know, everyone stay cool, conserve electricity, really important. Don't do sparking activities. I know it sounds dumb, but anything that makes a spark will make a wildland fire here. So the cooling centers at the Grass Valley and Penn Valley libraries will be open Saturday through Monday for extended hours, and then Madeline Helling will be open for its regular hours. It's open on the weekend anyway. If anyone's interested in city jobs, we've been getting a lot of calls about the opportunities that we have. Right on our homepage, very top left-hand corner, click the city job opportunities. It's really easy to do. Do it right now if you're watching at home. And then lastly, Madam Mayor, the deadline for homeowners, renters, and businesses to apply for assistance from impacts from our winter storms is July 20th. So this July 20th. For more information, folks can go to our social media, our webpage, or disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. And that's all I have for you, so we can get out early. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Great. Thank you, sir. And what about council members report backs?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Doug's got nothing.
Oh, I
Adam,
do,
you
but
got-
you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. So we'll save until we have less of a crowd. Yeah.
Well, we're on a clock. We're on a clock. This has got to get a record for the best first meeting.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Summer Nights was great, and we'll do it again
was.
next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that. We packed this place. It was awesome.
I wanted to shout out Caltucky in front of City Hall last night. Was just a killer bluegrass band. They were great.
Always happy to see my boyhood hero, Izzy Twinsky, still making it happen. And
Is he the balloon guy?
he's a juggler and storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
Right at the corner. Yeah.
The best. And I bet our colleague Lou, who ditched here on the first day of our sophomore year, he'd want us to mention again Guys and Dolls up at the Nevada Theater.
And I wanted to mention that I've missed Lou not being here tonight.
I miss Lou.
Yeah, but we can all go see Lou at Guys and Dolls.
Totally. All right, I'm looking for a motion in a second to adjourn this meeting.
I so moved that.
In a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
Good job. Congratulations, Madam Mayor. Better man than I love that. It's fun.
It's fun, yeah.